Hold on. Let me do another share here. There we go. Aisha, first one in the chat. Good to see some familiar names. I'm trying to get my my video is just working. I think I just paused it or something. So here, let's try next slide and see if it loads up. Welcome everybody. Good to see you all here. Let's see. I'm scrolling through the chat very quickly right now. I see Irene. What's up, Joe? What's up, Ricardo? We've got Juan. We got Carl here. What's up, Carl? How's it going, everybody? Good to see you all here. This chat's going way too fast, so if I'm missing you, don't feel left out. I'm just trying to go as fast as I can through it. It's good to have you all here, and thanks for being here. Thanks for being on time. We are going to get started in just a couple minutes. We're going to wait for everyone to join, get settled, and then we're going to get right into our workshop tonight, which I'm super excited about. So I'm going to share one thing in the chat right now. I was figuring out screen share for Livestorm, and I actually really like it a lot, but I wasn't able to share my audio. So I'll just share that link. That's what I was playing in the background. If you want to, imagine that we're all listening to it at the same time, you can click on that and play your own welcome music, or if you got something else you want to listen to, that works too. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes, so get comfortable, grab some water, get settled in, and if you could, say hi in the chat, tell me your name, where in the world you're checking in from, and I want you to answer this one question I have down here at the bottom. We're going to come back to this a little further along in the event, but we know that UX research is important, right? We know you can't build a great product or design anything useful without understanding your users. So my question to all of you is, why is it seemingly always kind of an uphill battle, let's say, to get the resources, the time, the budget that we need to do high quality UX research? So give me your answer just, off the top, put it in the chat. Maybe you could include some things that you've heard. I've been doing freelance UX design for over 10 years. I've worked with a lot of clients and heard a lot of excuses or a lot of, let's say, uphill battles about doing research. So say hi in the chat. Give me your thoughts on that question and get settled, and we'll get started in another minute or two. Let's see, we got Jerlyn from the Bronx. We got some New Yorkers here. Nice. Anish from Toronto, Mark joined from Los Angeles. Let's see, Joe answered the question here because people assume they know their users, so they don't think extensive research is necessary. Let's see, Carl said, because patience is a hot commodity. We're gonna come back to that. That's a good answer, Carl. I agree with that. We're gonna get a little more specific on why that is the case and kind of what that looks like day to day as a designer and researcher, but I would certainly agree with that one. Aisha said cost, agreed. Yeah, these don't have to be good reasons. I'm just want to throw it out there as, what are the things you hear? Why, what's some of the, let's say, pushback or resistance that comes up anytime, maybe a new research initiative is proposed? All right, let's see. Ego from execs. We know our users. That's a good one, Tanya. Agreed. Your companies don't necessarily see the value if they've never done it. Good answer, Brandon. Like I said, we're going to come back to this. I'm going to share some of these answers and talk about how I would answer that question, I guess, and how that leads into what we're going to be doing here tonight. So keep putting your answers in the chat, and we'll get started in another minute or two. I like the answer. Timing, dev is in a rush. Yes, Kevin, agreed. All right, so while we're just waiting another minute here for everyone to join, I just want to give a shout out to everyone at Lyssna. We have Ben and Diane here in the chat. And this workshop is Bitesize, partnering up with Lyssna. And I'm very excited about it because, like basically all of the partnership workshops that we do, or the products that I team up with, I like to team up with products that I actually use, that I think are useful and valuable, that I use in my day-to-day work with clients or with Bitesize. Lyssna is definitely one of those. So I was stoked when Claire hit me up and said, let's do something together. And I also just want to prove that since I'm not, not just saying that, this is a photo from one of our first Bitesize meetups. I think this was this might be the first Bitesize meetup in 2017. And this was our first collaboration workshop and our last collaboration workshop with Lyssna, which at the time was Usability Hub. So yes, truly a tool that I've used for a long time, one that's really great. We're gonna get some experience with it tonight. And wanted to give a shout out to everyone at Lyssna and Ben and Diane who are here tonight. Awesome. All right, everybody. So let's get started. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat or somewhere where I can see it if you can hear me, and see my screen. Good. Awesome. I like the little floaty thumbs up. Those are nice. Great. Okay, so we are recording. I'll talk about that in a sec, but you will get everything from the workshop afterwards. Let's get started. Quick intro. My name is Joe. I'm the founder of Bitesize UX. A senior UX design instructor at General Assembly here in New York. I've been a freelance UX designer for about the past 10 plus years. And in that time, I've worked on a very wide range of products, all different platforms, subject matter areas, little startups, big, enterprise companies, big teams, small teams, remote teams, in person, a little bit of everything. But I think, what's most relevant for our workshop tonight is across the board, almost across the board, let's say, I have had to really kind of scratch and claw to do research, even with some of the clients and projects that understood the value of it, understood how it was going to allow me to do my job better and improve their product. There was always a slight, sometimes not so slight challenge to really push that through and advocate for research and not only just get the buy-in on it, but actually do it effectively. And I'm going to share some examples from some of those projects here tonight. Quick background on Bitesize. I know there are some familiar names and faces and regulars here, but for those of you who have never joined a Bitesize workshop, the backstory is this, what you're seeing here. I started Bitesize from a need that I had when I was getting started in UX design. Basically the need experience to get experience problem. When you're early in your UX design career, you need real world experience. You need to build those skills, get a nice portfolio full of good looking real projects to land that job or that internship or that freelance gig. But the problem is that you need the job, the freelance gig, the internship to get those projects, to get actually a shot to work on that stuff and put it in your portfolio. So this was something that I experienced when I was getting started in UX design. As I started teaching at General Assembly, I realized I was not alone with the chicken and egg problem here, and that there are a lot of really talented designers who were struggling to get over that first hump and really wanted to see and get experience with the stuff that you're doing, basically every day as a professional designer. So pretty much I took the work I was doing for clients, I turned that into these little mini design challenges. That turned into the meetup group, which you saw the picture of before. And that has evolved quite a bit over the years into what we have today with all of you joining from all over the world. We've got a lot of workshops, but they all hit on the same principle of learning the stuff, the really practical skills, getting experience with the stuff you'll do every day or very often, let's say, as a professional UX designer. So not just going into the concepts and kind of the theory behind things, but actually giving you some practice with it, allowing everyone to get some hands-on experience. And I think most importantly, helping you build that confidence that you can take the stuff that we do in our class and start applying it day to day in the work that you're doing. All right, I will talk about this more at the end of class, but we do have a research course coming up next week, a 2-week course. I have a promo code for this. I have some links that I'll share. And again, I'll drop this stuff in. Well, I'll drop it in the chat right now just so you can check it out, but I won't talk about it. All I'll say right now is that if you like what we do here tonight, I think you'll definitely enjoy this class. And we'll go way beyond some of the stuff that we do here while also incorporating a lot of the practice and concepts that we're doing in this quick workshop. All right, some quick tips to make sure everything goes smoothly here tonight. First and foremost, everything is recorded, so you can check it out later. We'll be sending out the recording, the resources, the links, pretty much everything that we do here during the workshop, you will get afterwards. So if you're not here live, you can watch it recorded. And of course, if you want to go back and review anything from class, you'll have the chance to do that too. We're going to use the chat a lot as well. I see everyone's comfortable with it. Everyone's found it, I guess. Keep the chat open and active. We're going to use it a lot. We're going to have some little quick 2-3 minute activities that I'm going to ask you to respond in the chat to. I'm going to be sharing some links and some resources that I'll be putting in the chat as well. And in terms of questions, if you have a question, drop it in the chat when it comes up. I'm going to keep my eye on it and make some checkpoints throughout the class to try to answer as many as I can. And if I can't get to all of them, I'll record some answers and send that out with everything else tomorrow. So keep that chat open, and I'll be dropping some stuff in there in just a second. Actually, right now, I'll be dropping something in there. Okay, other thing before we get going here is our resource guide. So I'm going to share this link in the chat. Let me do that. Go ahead and click on that link. You should see what I have up on my screen right here. This resource guide is basically everything from the workshop tonight. So if you scroll down, you'll see there's a space for workshop, the recording, the Lyssna test results, which we're going to get into, the slides from the workshop, some FigJam files, Figma templates, and a bunch of great resources from Lyssna for you to check out after and keep building your skills. So this link, I would bookmark it. It's where everything is going to live from this workshop. We'll come back to it throughout the class, and I'll kind of direct you to some of the links that we're using, but it's also there for you afterwards. So Yvette said, how long is this link available? I don't take these down, so it's available for the foreseeable future, let's say. Just give me a thumbs up if you're able to open this and are seeing what I'm seeing here. Yes. Cool, forever, exactly. All right, last thing, stay comfortable, happy, and hydrated. We pretty short workshop tonight. We will take a break about halfway through, but like I said, it's all recorded. So if you have to get up for any reason, if you're eating dinner or breakfast, or just need to get away from your screen for a minute, go for it. Take care of yourself. We will take a little quick break in the middle, but it's all recorded, so we can catch you up on anything that you miss. And make sure you're comfortable, relaxed, and let myself or anyone on the Lyssna team know if there's anything we can do to make it more enjoyable. All right. Yeah, we got our Sandlot reference coming in. Quick. It was a quick one. All right, everybody. Let's get to the question that I asked while we were all kind of filing in here. Basically, why doesn't UX research get the love it deserves? We all know how important it is, or most of us know how important it is to build a good product, but we see, LinkedIn posts, questions all the time, a lot of stuff out there kind of describing how it can be very difficult to get buy-in, get the resources, the time, the money to do research effectively. So I asked you this at the beginning. There are some great answers in the chat, a lot related to cost. I think some really good answers related to, maybe like a founder or a product owner thinking they don't have to do research, or assuming that they already know what their users need. So I wouldn't disagree with any of those, but I wanted to kind of focus it in a little bit more related to our workshop here tonight. So I think if I had to sum it up in my experience, one of the reasons why it's hard to get buy-in for UX research, fear of negative findings. That's a good one, Aisha. I think many times just in general, decision makers, but just also people are biased towards output. I know a lot of the client projects that I've worked on are kind of gauged by how much we're making. You see like these full Trello boards with screens that need to be designed, features that need to be built. And it kind of gets conflated where it's like, the more you're making, the more you're building, the more you're putting out there, the better the product. I think we all know that that is certainly not the case and can actually be the opposite. But I definitely think that factors into this challenge with UX research, where it feels like research is probably a step back or slowing down that, rapid screen designing that you're doing to pump out new features and ideas and layouts. And then the second one here is basically what all of you said in the chat. Research is time and resource intensive, right? You're investing time into it. You're investing money in terms of a researcher or a designer's time to do it. And the outcome isn't always clear, right? It's not like, okay, we're going to do these interviews and we are going to get, pinpoint the answer to this feature that is going to take our product to the next level. Not really how it works. So UX research will rarely look like this, no matter how bad stakeholders or clients want it to. We all know UX research doesn't go in a straight line. We don't just say, okay, we're going to go try to figure out, the answer to this question or a really important user need, and immediately and directly get the insights that are going to lead to product and business improvements. Get a straightforward, simple, actionable answer right off the bat. This wouldn't be very fun if UX research was like this, and it's rarely, if ever, the case. And I think we all know that research takes a little bit more of a windy path like this one here. So research, you could make an argument that it's a little bit windier than this, but we know that on the path of starting a UX research study or endeavor, between that and kind of the endpoint of the action items or suggestions that come out of it, there are a bunch of twists and turns. Maybe it's your interview questions needed some refinement. You forgot to hit record on the Zoom interview. That's happened plenty of times for me. Maybe you find something out, like kind of a bombshell finding or insight from a interview that causes you to rethink the entire study and kind of go in a different direction. So we know that it's not a straight line here. And this all factors into what I was just saying with research being, this line is time and money, right? The more time it takes to do it, to get to that outcome, that is often where a lot of the resistance comes from in terms of, stakeholders. What I want to highlight here, though, is kind of going in the other direction. UX research, of course, it's not a straight line from ask a question, get an answer. We know there are some twists and turns, but a lot of times in the UX research process, and I've seen this particularly with more junior designers and researchers, I've made these mistakes, especially early on in my career. There are a little too many twists and turns, right? There are some changes that we could make, some adjustments, some improvements, some new skills that we could learn as researchers that might allow us to conduct our research more efficiently, more effectively. Of course, we still need time and some resources to do it. But if we think of it as not just this endless endeavor or this academic endeavor, we can improve how we're doing it and how we get that path from trying to find something out to an actionable improvement. So my main point here is effective UX research doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be a massive 2-year study where nothing gets created and everything is, discovering new paths and lines of questioning. That's one kind of extreme end of the spectrum. And usually, as we all know, what a lot of product owners, teams opt for is kind of the other side, right? Well, if we can't do that, then let's just go with our assumptions and let's kind of pump stuff out and hope it works, really. That's oversimplifying it a little bit, but it is kind of a common viewpoint and let's say the image that the bad rap that UX research gets a lot. And it doesn't have to be that way. If we are focused and prioritizing the research that we're doing, really understanding the goals, the audience, the methodology, if we have expertise as researchers in crafting and executing and facilitating UX research plans, we can cut that super squiggly line down into something that's a little bit more clear, a little bit more efficient. And I think the biggest one, resourcefulness, right? Being able to use the right tools, understanding sample size. And as many of you said in the chat, really having a good grasp of that trade-off between time and reward or benefit, cost and benefit of research to hone in your research plan and get a little scrappy and resourceful with how you get those answers. And I think this is important because this is what we're going to be doing here tonight. And I think Lyssna is an amazing tool for that. I've used Lyssna a lot for exactly what we're talking about here. Times where I need an answer, I need some insights from users, I need to test something out. I don't want to go with just an assumption, pumping out screens, but I, or maybe my client, doesn't have the time, the resources to embark on this huge research journey that doesn't have a clear end in sight. So tonight we are going to focus on split testing, and we're going to get some experience with it. Split testing and some of the variations that we'll talk about is a methodology of UX research that I think fits perfectly in this mold of effective, efficient, relatively quick, but also something that can produce really actionable insights, can really help you improve your product very quickly. We'll talk about some of the other ones and look at the Lyssna platform a little bit later, take some questions on that, on some variations that you can do of this. But for our challenge here tonight, we are going to focus on split testing. So I'm going to start with a little split testing 101, kind of a mini lesson here. And then we're going to get into our challenge and actually start setting up, designing, and of course, testing out our work. Let me just scroll through the chat. Let me see if there are anything I missed. I think I got most of them, but links available, get the recording. Yes, awesome. Okay, so let's do our little quick crash course, I guess, on split testing. Something that I'm sure many of you are familiar with, so we're not going to explain too much. We're going to save that for actually doing it in a couple minutes. But to give you the overview, split testing is one research method that you can use to test out a hypothesis. And as I just said, going with the theme of resourceful research, it really is a method, kind of my go-to method for a lot of problems that I'm trying to solve, as one that can be efficient, fast, and really lead to some high quality improvements. And we'll see that in the project that we're working through here tonight. Okay, so split testing, or sometimes called A/B testing, is a lot like a science experiment. Think of like an 8th grade, when you're learning the scientific method. A lot of the same variables or specifications as that. For a split test, you need a hypothesis, you need a success metric, you need a variable, and you need an audience, some people out there to be your sample test group and actually deliver the results and the findings from that test. So let's look at these kind of one by one with the most simple example that I could think of. Here's our hypothesis. I think using a green button on our email form will result in more signups than our current red button. So we can think of this generic, web app company. They're looking to get more email signups, and maybe someone on the design team or the research team has a hunch that changing the button color could move the needle a little bit. So here's our beautiful email sign up form, and we have our hypothesis, which is changing, using a green button on our email form will result in more signups than the current red button. And that brings up our variable, which is the button color. So as we're designing these two versions, A and B, the button color is the only thing that we're going to change across, typo there, our designs. So these forms are going to look exactly the same to the end user, except for that submit button. One is going to have a red button, one is going to have a green button. And Abraham, your question in the chat, is split testing the same as A/B testing? Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much used interchangeably. And the times I've heard split testing used is when you're testing like more than two variations. So if you have like 5 or 6 different button colors, let's say, you might call that a split test. That's how I've heard it, and I've heard them used interchangeably. So for tonight, we're using it that way, where you could think of them as basically the same thing. All right, so in our very simple experiment here, we have our hypothesis and we have our variable, green button and a red button. And we publish this on our site. 50% of users are going to see the red button. The other half are going to see the green button. And, a week or so later, we have some results. We got 225 signups from the green button. Our hypothesis was validated, and 152 from the red button. Now, this doesn't mean a whole lot other than the green performed better than the red. There are some other factors that we'll talk about in terms of sample size, in terms of the actual impact that this has on the end product. But again, for our simple example here, we've got our hypothesis, our forms, and our variable being that button color. And we're able to look at it after the test is run, after a bunch of participants have seen that, either the green or the red button, and kind of evaluate which one is leading to our success metric, more conversions or more signups. Okay, so what can we test with split testing? Well, you can test just about anything, and I would guarantee that if you spend an hour online just checking your email, doing stuff on the internet, you're probably the subject of an A/B test. Definitely if you go on Amazon, you're 100% the subject of an A/B test. We can test just about anything: titles, copy, colors, like we saw with the button, images, graphics, layouts, navigation, design patterns, really anything that we want to compare. As long as we have that hypothesis, that variable, and a success metric, we can put it out and distribute different versions of that and see which one is performing better. So let's try a quick example here together. What you're looking at here is the homepage, or at some point was the homepage of Loom, which for those of you who are bite-sized regulars know I use Loom. I send a lot of videos out. This is a little snippet from their homepage here. If we wanted to set up a split test for this one, or experiment, might look something like this. We have a hypothesis. I believe that by doing this or changing this, we'll be able to increase the percentage of first-time visitors who begin their free trial. So we have a hypothesis that we're going to come up with in a second. We have a success metric, which is the conversion rate, how many visitors actually sign up, or first-time visitors, what percentage of them sign up for a free trial. And really the only thing left to do, besides our getting it out to people and our sample size, is choosing a variable. So it might look something like this. The hypothesis, I believe that by doing this, by changing the button copy from get Loom for free to record your first Loom, we will be able to increase the percentage of first-time visitors who begin their free trial. Success metric we're using is the conversion rate, just like the last one. And the variable that we're changing here is the button copy. So if you look at these two screens, you'll notice they're exactly the same. Everything is everything's identical except for the text, the copy on these two buttons. So the importance of that, which we'll talk about a little bit more, is that if there is a change, in improvement, let's say in conversions, just like in a science experiment, you can point to the cause of that, right? You can look or have some confidence into what made that change. We'll look at some examples that are changing a bunch of variables and kind of see how that works into our project here tonight. But a good simple variable here that is tested all the time would be the button copy. I will answer those questions in the chat, but I want to just throw this out there to everyone as a group. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. I want you to look at these same home pages that we have here. We can imagine that these both say get Loom for free. What are some other variables that we could test out with these 2 screens? Imagine that we're same goal, trying to increase the conversion rate, and we want to test out a different variation, let's say, of this first screen here. I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock and I want you to think about that. Drop your answers in the chat. And if you have more than one answer, throw it in there. We'll take a look at them in just a couple minutes. I think we're only going to need 1 minute for this activity. You guys got this. Nice. All right. So I'm seeing, keep the answers coming. I'm seeing the video, background colors, the pop-up, help chat versus no pop-up. So I'm seeing a bunch of answers related to design, right? Like just colors, button styles, a couple answers related to layout, maybe putting the button, below the video there. A bunch of answers related to copy, both the design, like text hierarchy. Sonica said the color of the CTA and the 2 primary buttons, scrolling up and scrolling down, the navigation bar. Yes, even in this really little snippet that we're looking at here, you guys can see, we probably got 100 different variables that were named in the chat here. There are a lot of different things that we could test out and experiment with to kind of see which one is performing better. So these would all be good variables or possible variables that we could test out. And we have all the other components, a hypothesis and our success metric, and presumably an audience to actually test this out with. Short looping video instead of a full video. Awesome. All right, so you passed that test. Some quick notes on split testing. We're gonna cover these in our project here. But since we just gave kind of a, I'd say, higher level overview, there were a couple more, I guess, in-depth or kind of next level things to consider that I wanted to make a note of here for you to think about, both as we get into our project tonight and with your work that you're doing day to day. So first note is considering the sample size. This was like one of the first screenshots I could find of this, so it's not the most beautiful, but it serves its purpose. In terms of sample size, right? We've kind of just been throwing out random sample sizes here or imagining those with these examples, but sample size is important, right? And there's not one like right answer for how many people should actually see the red button versus the green button to establish that one is performing better than the other. There is statistical significance, so there are some guidelines around that. But overall, the main thing I wanted to bring up is when it comes to sample size, the amount of people that you're testing it out with, the main thing that you are considering is, number one, the impact of the experiment and the level of confidence that you're hoping to achieve. So what I was trying to show here with this screenshot is the how the Safari like toolbar or address bar on iPhones, this moved. I guess you can put it back. That's what I saw in this article, but forever on an iPhone, it was up here when you wanted to type a web address in. And I guess in some of the more recent operating systems, it's down at the bottom. I like it much better at the bottom, by the way. I put this as the example because if Apple is going to make this change, they're not going to test this out with 10 people and say, oh, 6 liked it at the bottom and 4 people liked it at the top. Yeah, let's place it down at the bottom. This is a product that is being used by billions of people all the time, every day. It has a huge impact on the usability of their product. Apple also has the resources, the time, the researchers to test this out, right? So in kind of the other extreme, you are going, if Apple's making a decision, should we leave it up there or should we move it down? They're probably doing a ton of other tests involved as well. But in terms of sample size, they are going to see a lot of people test this and get some kind of way to measure it, either the results or the satisfaction or usability with it before they're deciding that, yes, every new iPhone that we make, every new operating system or version of Safari is going to have that toolbar down there at the bottom. Yeah, this is configurable. That's what I learned, but I think the bottom, it's just closer to your thumbs. I think it's the move. Either way, that was tested quite a bit. So sample size, an important thing to think about. And the other one that I want to focus on here that we're going to get a lot more experience with after our break and kind of in our challenge is choosing a variable. So with that Loom example that I gave you, we came up with like 1 million variables in the chat. Now we could test all of those. Everything that was mentioned in the chat, we could run some sort of split test experiment to see, which one performs better. But that is going to take a lot of time and a lot of resources. That's going to kind of defeat the purpose of being, focused and intentional and resourceful with the types of tests that we're running and thinking about what's going to make a bigger impact on the product. So one thing that you're often deciding with running a split test is what is the variable that we're changing. When you're choosing a variable, you can pick a variable that is too big, let's say, or too broad. It's actually like a bunch of variables all kind of bunched into one. So with this example here for this sign up screen, let's say we had version A and version B. We could call the variable here. Let's say we want to test the conversion rate for these sign up like pop-ups or modals. The modal design, we could call that the variable, right? But there's actually a ton of different variables in here. These are quite different. This one has, an image of the tutor. It has different form fields. It has different colored buttons. It has a different headline here. So we could kind of start a little bit broader and say, yes, we're going to test this sign up pop-up A versus sign up pop-up B. The downside to this is after you get those results back, often you don't really know what moved the needle. So let's say version A outperformed it. That's great. But if you want to continue to improve on that or continue to optimize it, you're going to be trying to figure out or probably guessing what part of this screen actually made it increase that conversion rate so much. Was it showing a photo of the tutor? Was it, the blue button that looked maybe more inviting or more visible? So you can kind of move the needle a little bit more in your results, but the challenge there is then coming back and figuring out what was the actual cause of that. The other side of choosing a variable is going really narrow at the beginning or really focused, like our button colors that we're seeing here. This is something that can be really valuable to do when you're testing, really optimizing a product. Like Amazon is doing stuff like this, where they've already figured out like the million other tests that happened before it. And now they're just trying to get, half a percentage point better and seeing if the button color will do that. So this can be good. One, because what variable or what factor contributed to that result. But early on in the process, the challenge you can run into here is that the needle might never move, right? You might just be making these little tweaks and adjustments, spending time to set up tests and running them. And sure, one might outperform the other, but is it really making an impact on your product? Is it really making an impact on your business? A lot of times it's not. So I think that the best way, and how we're going to do this here tonight to kind of find the balance of what to split test, is to start a little bit broader, like starting a little closer to something like this that we're seeing here, where you might not be able to identify the exact variable or what made the change, but then being able to test, get feedback, that's the key part there, and incrementally narrow your focus. So the key here is being able to test it out, see just quantitatively which one is performing better, but also get that qualitative feedback from users that can maybe help give you some direction and some guidance as to why they chose one option over another. Let's see, TV said, I think survey would be good to see if they can do the task in the first place, how long it takes them. Yeah, it could be a survey. It could be, that's what we're going to use with Lyssna, a design survey. And this is, like I said earlier, typically how I use Lyssna, and why one of my favorite tools is to run these tests that are maybe not a perfectly precise split test, but that combination of seeing the conversion rate and the quantitative data and also getting feedback from real people, that has been a formula that's led me to some really quick but really impactful improvements on the product. So we're going to see what that looks like here with our project. All right, here is what we're working on tonight. You actually got a little preview in those past slides, but I'm going to give it the full brief right now. Before I do that, let me just look in the chat here. See, Dara, you need to search. I'm not going to leave the browser. Can you tell if you like it or not? Yeah, that's a really good question, Dara. So Dara said if Apple just puts the toolbar at the bottom, or and they either don't give you a way to change it, or it's not like obvious that you can switch it back up to the top, or you have to just leave the browser, how can you tell if they like it or not? You would either need to ask them, right? So that would be kind of in line with what we're talking about here, more of like a preference test where you have two clear variations, but you're also getting maybe some feedback about the usability. The other way that could happen is like some other metric where half the people would see it on the top, half people would see it on the bottom, and they might be Apple might be measuring the time it takes to like enter a URL in. There might be so they might get some quantitative data from that to see like what's faster, and design an experiment around that. So it would be it wouldn't involve making people switch, because that would really like skew the results of it. It would more so be launching some on the 50% on the top, 50% on the bottom, and having some way to measure the success of one or the other, along with, I'm sure, some feedback and usability testing and qualitative stuff as well. Great question, Darren. All right, let's preview our project here. Here's what we're doing for the rest of our class. We're working on study sesh. So I'm going to give you the background as we transform into the, let's say, UX research / design team for study sesh. Study sesh is an app that I made up that helps parents find the perfect private tutor for their child or their children. So we have, I know these are a little hard to see, but I'll pull up the screens in a second. Specifically, what we're going to be focusing on here is this onboarding process. So imagine a user, let's say a parent who's looking to hire a tutor for their child to help tutor them in a specific topic. They find this app somewhere, they download it, they open it up for the first time, and they are going through this onboarding flow, or kind of this first time experience that they're going to see when they click that on their phone for the first time and open it up. So we're seeing this flow from left to right that has some of the benefits, right? Top quality tutors, personalized matches, flexible scheduling. And then we get into some questions. So our second screen right here is asking about tutoring preferences. When are you looking for tutoring sessions? And it gives some options of days, and also to kind of opt out of that and say, I'm not sure yet. So this screen's kind of all about the schedule, the when of hiring a tutor. This third screen this is what we're going to focus heavily on for our workshop tonight. Tell us about your child. Tell us about your child's needs, and we'll find top-rated tutors to help them reach their goals. And we see a couple questions here that the parent could presumably fill out. What grade is your child in? And then a bunch of subjects, math, reading, science, that they could check off to kind of specify the areas that they're looking for a specialized tutor in. Once they tap continue, we get to this screen. We found 5 tutors that are a perfect match for your child. Create your free account to, let's say it's a free account, to view, email, password, and then we get our list of qualified match tutors based on the information that we put in here. So pretty kind of standard onboarding flow here, with the main goal of asking a few questions, being able to use those to tailor the experience, or in this case, guide the end user into finding tutors who are presumably going to be a good match and ones that they'll be hiring or setting up a session with for their kid. Oh, Bernicia, keep that thought in mind. We're going to get to that very soon. All right, so here's the problem. This is what we're out to fix. In the study sesh onboarding process, we're seeing a high drop-off rate at the sign-up screen right before parents view the matches. So I just made this number up, but we're seeing that 45% of people are seeing this screen. Hey, create your account. We got some great tutors. They're right behind this, dimmed out black rectangle here. Just enter your email, create a password, and you can view these tutors and book a session. We're seeing a bunch of, almost half, let's say, of our users at this point just say, I'm good. I don't need to, I'll try something else. I'll do it another time, and leaving the app here. So this is a relatively simplified, but a very common premise that you might get as a UX researcher. Hey, we're seeing this drop off at this point. It's important because we're losing business, we're losing new users. It's affecting our business and our product, and we see it all kind of funneling down to this one screen. Hey, UX research team, go figure out why this is happening, and more importantly, how we can fix it, right? If we're losing half of our customers or potential customers, let's say, at this screen, what do we need to do to reduce this drop-off rate and get more people to see all these great tutors and book their first session with them? Yes, better show the parents some value before asking for the investments. Yes, you guys are all on the right track, but we're gonna get more specific with how to do that. So we want to discover the reason behind this and use the feedback to improve it. All right, so here is our jumping off point. We're going to say that, let's say the past research team, not us, created a Lyssna study to evaluate and improve the conversion rate of new signups for first-time users. So basically they said, let's figure out what is, let's get some feedback and figure out what is going on with this onboarding process. Let's see if we can get some potential directions into how to improve that conversion rate and get more parents, feeling confident that they're going to see some great tutors signing up and booking their first session. All right, so I'm going to share this link in the chat, and you guys can check this out. It should be public, so you can see this, but this is inside the Lyssna platform. We're going to do this again in a little bit with our own design, but I just want to walk you through the actual survey here. So I'll show you how to create these a little bit later when we do our own, but we're going to imagine that Study Sesh set up this design survey where they are showing users these 5 screens here, the ones we just looked at in that onboarding process, and then asking the users 2 questions, right? The first question, imagine that you're a parent using Study Sesh for the first time for your own child. After answering the questions on these screens, how confident would you be that the recommended tutors are a great match for your child and their learning goals? So we're setting up this experiment. Since we're not actually tracking the real conversion rate with a live product, we're doing the next best thing to it with this confidence rating. So we're asking a bunch of users out there to look at these screens and say, how confident would you be after answering these questions, however you would, that the tutors you're going to see here would actually be a good match for your child and their learning goals. And as you can see here, we have our scale 1 to 10, 1 being not at all confident and 10 being extremely confident. And we got our kind of final number here with our 19 participants of a 4.53. So that's our starting point here. And I'd say, it's all relative, but if this is something I was working on, my first instinct would be, that's not very good, right? We could probably improve that. If the whole, value prop of our business is to match your kid with the perfect tutor for what they're trying to learn, their learning style, all the other factors, I would say a 4.5 confidence that we can actually do that out of 10. There's probably some room to improve that there and boost that conversion rate. The second part of this study asked the users to briefly explain your rating and provide specific feedback about what affected your confidence level regarding the recommended tutors and if they'd be a great match for your child and their learning goals. So we're asking users to rate their confidence. We got a 4.53 here. And then we're also asking them to get some qualitative feedback. Why, right? Why did you rate it whatever you did? And if you scroll down here, you will see we didn't have a huge sample size for this one, but you will see some really interesting feedback that we're going to dive into in just a second. So this is why I really like setting up studies like this, because you can test out, get kind of a hard number or metric to measure things by, but we don't have to just keep running tests and trying to improve that number. We can also kind of ask users to give us some feedback and help point us in the right direction. So the idea of what we're going to do here is take some of this feedback and use it to design an updated version of this. And our goal is going to be to use this feedback, run the exact same test that you're seeing here with these questions, except with an updated screen. And our success metric is going to be to beat that 4.53. Can we design another onboarding experience or one specific screen that is going to improve that confidence rating and presumably will make the connection, encourage more people or boost that conversion rate at the sign-up screen and reduce all those people who are dropping off. All right, so you have the link to that study. The feedback for it. Keep that open. This is also, by the way, all in the resource guide here. So I'll put this in the chat again. But it's the first Lyssna results for this one. So you can check out all of the individual feedback on it. But just to speed things up a little bit, I kind of organized it or summarized it into two main themes. We have theme number one. There's a bunch of feedback in there of people who rated this, pretty low confidence, that all kind of were part of the same theme, even though their feedback was a little bit different or they had specific considerations they were talking about. They all kind of fit in, or many of them fit into this one kind of main theme. It could be summarized like this. I don't feel confident that the recommended tutors will be a great match for my child because my child has a specific learning needs that were not asked about before recommending tutors. So just coming back to our study here, we could see something like, there were no options to specify that my child has visual impairment and needs a tutor with experience in this area. So again, varied feedback across the board, but definitely a theme of, my child has specific learning needs that are important to their learning experience and having a great tutor. And they weren't asked about, so I'm not really feeling confident that these 5 tutors that you're showing me are really going to be perfect and the ideal tutors that you're claiming that they are. Probably why many of the people drop off and say, I'm not going to sign up for this. I'll find a tutor somewhere else. The other big theme that you can check out in the research is people who don't feel confident that the recommended tutors will be a great match, same as the first one, but it's slightly different reason. Because my child has a specific goal or need for tutoring, like SAT prep, that was not asked about or considered prior to recommending tutors. So pretty similar in the sense of like a key piece that a parent would want to know or specify, a key piece of creating or making a great match between a tutor and a student. First one, more related to maybe a learning disability or specific need. This one more related to the goal of why the student or the parent is hiring or looking for a tutor in the first place. We saw those kind of generic subjects like science, math, reading, but we're seeing some feedback here that there are some parents who have kind of more specific things that they're looking for that maybe aren't acknowledged or asked about in that onboarding experience. Okay, so our challenge, we're going to redesign the tell us about your child screen. And we're going to pick one design. We're going to do a little voting at the end, but I'm going to pick one design from all of the ones that you guys will create in the next hour to run that exact same test with. So this is our onboarding flow. And we are going to swap out this screen here. Everything else in this flow is going to change, is going to be exactly the same. Our variable is going to be this, tell us about your child and their, let's say, learning needs screen. Again, there are a lot of variables within that screen, but we're going to use this to, first of all, open up some new ideas for how we might design it, and also get some feedback to see, beyond this class, how we might be able to improve it further. So really, everyone here is going to be designing a new version of that screen on your own. I'll walk everyone through that after we take a quick break. But we're going to pick one to run that exact same test with and see if we can beat that 4.53 confidence rating. And more importantly, see if we can get some feedback from users that might help us create the next version and the next version after that, that is going to be even better. So just this one screen, we're going to open that up to all of your ideas and how you use the feedback to improve it. All right, we're going to take a break in a second. Just before we do that, I want to just share this link with everybody. It seems like some of you found it already. This is also in the resource guide, but this is a FigJam template that I set up. Let me just make sure this works. Okay, so go ahead and click on that link. You should be able to open this FigJam board. All right, this is going to be my board over here. I'm going to make it green. All right, I can see the bite-sized regulars know the drill already. Open up this FigJam board. Everyone should be able to access it, and we might need some more templates here. So let me make some copies. All you need to do right now is find a spot. Yes, you can move them around. You can change the color of your board, but you can zoom in, find an open spot, and where you see your name here, just write your name there. You can change the color if you want to. And that's it for right now. I'm going to undo that so someone can take Tanya. You got that spot. So find a spot. If there aren't enough, just make a duplicate of some of the blank ones. Try not to clash with any of your classmates on this one. And like I said, all you need to do right now, go in, double click on where it says your name here, and put your name there. And that's where we're going to be doing our work for the rest of the course, or rest of the workshop. Cool. So while everyone's doing that, I'll just highlight this on my screen here. We have our experiment set up. We have the original screen right here. We have our hypothesis. We believe that by redesigning the tell us about your child screen, this one right here, to offer more specific criteria and questions about the student that will improve the confidence score. The variable is this whole screen, right? We're not just changing like the button color, something smaller. We're going to start with something a little bit bigger. We're going to test this out with 25 participants, and our success metric, we're measuring that confidence score. And I think I got the number wrong here, but it's a 453. That is basically what we're trying to see if we can improve on with our design. So after all the background, all the lead up, we got down to this, a nice, clear experiment. Now the only thing left to do is actually redesign it, figure out how we're going to make it better, and of course, test it out after that. So let's take a quick break, everybody. And we'll take a 5-minute break here. Get up, grab some water, get away from your screen for a little bit. Come back in 5 minutes and bring a pen or pencil and paper. We're going to do some sketching and get right into the design for the rest of our workshop. So get up, take a lap, and I'll see you back here in 5 for some sketching. If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and I'll check them out in just a minute. All right, everyone. See you in a few. Gave us a little extra time, everybody. We're going to get started in another couple minutes. So make your way back. Give me the thumbs up somewhere. Let's see. How does this work? There we go. The floaty thumbs up. Give me one of those when you're back. Make sure you have a pen or pencil and paper. Like I said, we're going to do some sketching. There we go. I see the thumbs up now. We're going to get into that in just a second. Make sure you got some water, comfortable, got up and stretched for a second. And we're going to have some fun in the last half of our workshop here, actually coming up with some ideas and bringing them to life. So I'll wait for everyone to get back. I wanted to answer your question, Abraham, in the chat. Most product managers normally ask how we as designers validate our design decisions. So when coming up with sketches, an idea for a redesign, how do we validate a chosen sketch or an idea that everyone agrees with on the team? Okay, great question. Here is the part that is that I'm going to tweak and that I'm going to kind of cut out of that, that everyone agrees with on the team. That is going to be the hard part. And that's usually the biggest factor in those like 6-hour Zoom meetings where no one can decide what to do. It's because everyone's trying to figure out a solution that everyone's going to agree on. Everyone has different ideas, different solutions that they think might be better. And it's kind of a big, circular discussion of trying to get everyone on board for something to move forward with. So I could give a longer, more detailed answer to this, but the short version is when you're communicating or articulating or backing up, let's say, your design decisions, first thing is you want to take your design team, stakeholders, basically out of the equation, right? Not totally. I mean, you still want feedback from them, but the idea is not to get them to agree with it. The idea is to get everyone on board that the solution you're proposing or that are being put out there are going to be the best for the user, right? Now, you might not know that, but you want to base everything in terms of validating or articulate or justifying your design decisions based on how is this going to improve the user experience. It doesn't really matter what I think. It doesn't matter what the product manager thinks. It doesn't matter what the CEO thinks. I mean, it kind of does, but everything should be focused around the user. So when you're coming to the table with a design or a sketch, you want to be able to say, here's why I designed it this way, and here's why I think this will be a better solution or an improvement on our last version. And when you're showing the why, you want to point to user research. You want to point to feedback. You want to say something like, we're getting 15 help support desk questions a day that are all related to this button, and everyone has the same problem filling out this form. Here's what they say. Here's why they are, struggling to fill out this form. And based on that feedback, here's why I believe this sketch that redesigns the form, fixes some of the issues, whatever the changes you made, why this is actually going to be an improvement on it. So the short answer to that question is back up your design decisions. Don't worry about turn it into a discussion of whose idea is the best. Keep it really focused on the end user. Point to specific feedback that you're getting from users. And if you don't have that, which is a great lead into what we're doing here, if you don't have that and everyone's just kind of taking guesses at what might be good, do that and then test it out. Run a test exactly like we're doing here with Lyssna and basically say, hey, let's cut this meeting short. Let's not talk for 6 hours about making assumptions about who's got the best design. Let's pick one. Let's test it out. Let's see how it performs. And if it's good, let's keep building on it. If not, let's try a different one there. So always keeping that justification rooted in user feedback and things that are going to improve the user experience. It can be hard to do because a lot of times the egos and the other stuff, that unnecessary stuff, gets into it. But if you keep your design decisions based on actual real feedback or challenges or goals from users, that's going to be very compelling when you bring your design solution to the table. Great question, Abraham. Cool. Let's get into some sketching, everybody. Now, I know designing, sketching, Figma, some of the stuff we're going to get into here might not be the standard or most important skills for a focused UX researcher, but I have a feeling everyone can handle this, and it's going to be fun to come up with some ideas and test them out at the end of our class. So, like I said before the break, we are going to be starting, everyone here individually is going to be redesigning that, this screen. Tell us about your child and trying to improve it based on the feedback and those two key themes that I previewed earlier. We're going to start with napkin sketches. Quick, we're going to do 2 minutes of sketching in just a bit, and I'll walk you through what that's going to look like. But basically, everyone here is going to get some rough ideas down on paper. Our napkin sketches, our lo-fi sketches, these are a very important tool in our toolkit as designers to come up with ideas quickly, show a range of ideas, experiment with things, and overall, like, not worry about making something pixel perfect, really focusing on just kind of getting the ideas out of your brain onto paper and then figuring out which ones you want to move forward with. So this napkin sketch on the left, my trusty old example I've used for this slide forever, a great example of a napkin sketch. It's messy. It certainly doesn't look like a finished, end product that the user is going to see, but it is effective in kind of giving the basic idea of what this screen might look like, some of the features on it, and giving you a starting point to build on. Now, napkin sketches, they grow, they evolve, they come out of their little cocoon and evolve into maybe some more detailed sketches, maybe some wireframes, visual design, prototypes. This might look different for every product, but the idea here, as I'm sure many of you are familiar with, is that our napkin sketches, they don't stay napkin sketches forever, right? We start with them as kind of our baseline to get our rough ideas down, and then little by little, we're maybe testing, improving those, or working on them to bring them to life and actually create something that the end user would see and interact with. So we're going to follow that process for the rest of our class tonight. Here's how we're going to be sketching for study sesh. Everyone's going to sketch out you could have more than one screen, I guess, but 2 minutes of sketching to redesign that Tell Us About Your Child screen. Shout out to our City Pups workshop with my example here on the left. So in just a couple minutes, I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes, and you are going to sketch your version of the Tell Us About Your Child screen, the redesign of this one that we're looking at here. You can sketch more than one version if you want. You can use that 2 minutes however you want. If you want to come up with rough, kind of quick feature ideas, just scribbling down some notes, doing some rough ideas, or coming up with, spending the whole 2 minutes to kind of come up with a more fully formed idea. Totally up to you, but 2 minutes total to come up with a new idea. All right, so let's do a quick brainstorm. I'm going to put a minute on the clock here, and I just want you to put in the chat, let's just get the ideas going. What are some features? What are some ideas that you're having for how you're going to redesign this screen? What are some things you might cut out? What are some things you might include? Let's share those in the chat. I'm sure everyone's wheels are turning already. And look at some of your classmates' ideas if you're feeling stuck or maybe need some inspiration to get started on your own. The idea here is that once I start that 2 minute clock, everyone's got at least some idea of what you're trying to tackle and get down. Let's see, think about questions a parent would ask, specialties search box with a drop down, get rid of the pre-selected choices, learning style disabilities, think of adding a carousel with one question on one page, nice. Having a way to choose subtopics for each subject, good, nice. We got some great ideas here. Learning attributes, special task or special need is needed. Now, just for the sake of time, I didn't have any, I didn't do a section on competitive analysis or like getting some design inspiration. That's something you can do as we get into our last exercise of designing these in Figma. But these are great ideas in the chat. So scroll through those if you're sketching and feeling maybe stuck. look at some of your classmates' ideas. We're all on the same design team here, and there are plenty of good starting points in there to get you going with your sketches. All right, before we sketch, some quick tips. Use notes and annotations to capture your ideas. Napkin sketches are rough. They don't really look like, a typical app screen or a finished app screen. So, and we're sketching really fast. So a lot of the times I use notes and annotations to kind of just quickly describe my idea. It helps me get it down on paper faster. And it also allows me to remember what that idea was when I come back to it. There's been plenty of times where I've sketched something out, thought it was like a good idea or maybe a great idea. I go have lunch, I come back and I look at my notebook and I'm like, what is this? What was I trying to create here? So you want to be primarily like drawing and sketching out the screen, but use notes, annotations to capture your ideas. Second thing, don't judge your ideas yet. If you feel yourself like getting stuck or thinking, is this good? Is this going to work? How could I do it better? Could the developer even build this? You're thinking too much for this phase. This is all about just getting it down on paper. We'll make those decisions. We'll evaluate it and refine it after, but keep the pen moving, keep the pencil moving. Look in the chat if there's, if you're stuck and don't have an idea. And remember, we will kind of evaluate and prioritize and refine these sketches. This 2 minutes is all about just getting it out of your brain and down in front of you on paper. Okay, last tip, don't abandon ship. What I mean by this is a common mistake I see a lot of new designers make when we do sketching exercises. We have all this great feedback from our original test here. We have actual things that people said that would help improve this screen. Use them. So when I say don't abandon ship, I mean, don't just design like some idea that comes to your mind that has nothing to do with the research or the feedback or something that you think would be cool or really slick looking. Stick to the research. We have great feedback. We have people telling us, hey, here's how you could make this better, right? Here's what I would have liked to see to make me more confident. Look at that. If you're feeling stuck, click on this link. I'll put it back in the chat and, scroll through some of the feedback and think about what could you design that would directly address some of these, or maybe be a solution that could cover some of those main themes that we looked at. Stick to the research. All right. Is everyone ready to go? Let me just pause for a second. If anyone has any questions before we get started on what we're doing here, drop them in the chat. Otherwise, you can get your pen and pencil ready. Pause for a second. Good question in the chat. Would having too many questions also be a problem? We don't know. That's why we're testing it out. So go with what you think for your sketch. We'll refine that. We'll test it, and we'll see. Doesn't matter what I think. It could be a problem, or it could be a huge improvement, right? If parents are feeling like, oh, this is really asking me a lot of specific questions, getting to know my child and their learning goals. The short answer is that's why we test it, right? So go with what you think is going to work for now, and we'll see how it performs. All right, everybody, 2 minutes on the clock. Redesign your screen, sketching, ready, set, go. All right, everybody, you got 30-ish seconds left. Keep sketching. You're gonna have more time to kind of draw these out a little bit after, but get your ideas down, get any notes, annotations down on paper, and we'll see what you came up with. All right, time is up. Give you an extra 5 seconds. Finish up that last sketch, that last note, get it down on paper. Awesome. All right, so everyone should have, I guess, at least one sketch or maybe a bunch of stuff in that 2 minutes. So I want to give everyone just a minute right now, if you can, to snap a photo of your sketch or your sketches and drop them into your FigJam board. You'll see there's a little section here for your sketch or your sketches, redesign. Take a second, snap a photo with your phone, however you got to do it, email, AirDrop, drag it into the FigJam file on your own board. So I'll give everyone a minute or two to do that. And then I'll talk about what we're doing next for the rest of the class before we test these out. While we're waiting, just let me know in the chat, how'd you feel about 2 minutes of sketching? I'll say I kind of let you off easy with that. A lot of times we'll do like, 5 sketches in 5 minutes and really put the pressure on to pump stuff out. But I thought I'd give you a little more time and focus to come up with something well thought out. Not that well thought out, but an extra minute. So let me know how you did in the chat, how you felt sketching. I'm just gonna zoom around here. Let's see, we got niche sketches, nice. Hey, that's pretty good for 2 minutes. Love it. Carl, what we got here? That's a nice drop-down menu, Carl. I like it. Grade your child in subject. What subjects? What are your child's goals? Awesome. Some good-looking sketches. What grade? What subjects? See some stuff added on, some small tweaks. I see a few that have some more, big changes, I guess. Okay, these are impressive for 2 minutes here. Got the long scroll screen. Yes, I will talk about that in a second. Nice. Whose are these? Let's see, Laura, looking good with those sketches. Awesome. All right, you can keep putting those in if you're still doing it. I'm going to come back and check in a little bit, and mainly reason I wanted you to add these in here is so you guys can look at your classmates' sketches, get some ideas, get some inspiration if you're feeling stuck or need to switch it up as we move into this next phase here. All right, so we are going to go into our last step of this process before we test. We're going to pick one of these designs that you come up with. We're going to test it out. I'm also going to show everyone how to test your own designs on Lyssna, since we're not going to test like 100 or however many people are here. It's designs all in one. So I'm going to show you how to do that. We'll create our test in Lyssna. But before that, you guys are going to get some time to design these and bring them from that lo-fi napkin sketch that you created into something a little bit more polished. So let me share this link with you if you haven't found it already. I'll put this in the chat. Go ahead and click that link I just put in the chat, and you should see what I have right here. And this is basically a Figma starter kit that I created to give you guys a little head start on designing your hi-fi version of the Tell Us About Your Child screen. So open this up. Just give me a thumbs up if you're seeing this. Make sure the link works. Everyone seeing what I'm seeing on my screen here? Yes, awesome. And then all you got to do is click that open in Figma button. And if you have a Figma account, that will give you that will make a copy of this file for you. And this is your own file right here. No one else has access to this. This is going to be your own workspace here. Like I said, a little starter kit, so you don't have to create these screens from scratch. So if you look at my screen, it's exactly what you have. I'm just going to rename mine because I got a lot of versions of this. I put together a little style guide here with some colors, some of the elements like the drop down and some of the things we saw on the other screens, some stuff that was on the tutor screen, buttons, really a little simple starter pack for you there. We have all the other screens up here that you can pull from, but more importantly, we have the tell us about your child screen and a bunch of spaces for your design here. So these screens over here, you might not need all of them, but this is where you are going to be designing, taking that sketch that you just did and designing a more high fidelity version of the tell us about your child screen. Now you can extend these if you want. I want you to keep it to one screen. So you can make a mess of this file, but as long as you have one that's going to be kind of your final submission that we're going to pick from, you can do whatever you want with it. So this is your workspace. I'm going to put 15 minutes on the clock right now for you guys to get started with designing your screen. I'll check in 15 minutes and just see how everyone's doing. Probably give you maybe a little more time after that. And then we will pick a design, we'll test it out, and we'll see if one champion from our class can beat that 4.53 from our original test. All right, let me start the clock. And I'm here. I might turn my camera and mic off for a minute, but I'm here. So if you have questions, Figma questions, testing questions, anything like that, drop them in the chat and I will pop in and answer them. Otherwise, I will check in 15 minutes to see how we're doing and give you some next steps. All right, start designing, everybody. Use the template stuff that I put together. Don't make it all from scratch. It's easier. Good luck, and I'll talk to you in a bit. Hey, sorry to interrupt everyone. Dennis, you are a fast designer. Yeah, you can put it in there if you're ready. Just want to give one tip while you guys are all still working. So here, let me pull this screen up. So we're going to pick we're going to pick our top 3 designs, and we'll vote on one that we're going to use to actually test together. So for the design that we pick, I'm going to drop it right in here, and I'll set up the test in Lyssna. One piece of advice while you're working on these, don't bite off more than you can chew. If you have a screen that you don't get to finish, or you're focusing like really heavily on one part of it and getting it really detailed, and then just have kind of like wireframes for the rest of it, that will affect the test, right? You might get feedback from people that are like, hey, that screen doesn't look finished, right? Or something like that. So as you're working on these, I know it's not a lot of time to do it, but try to plan out what that screen looks like. Try to think about the amount of, be efficient with how you're designing it, using the style guide stuff that you have there. And it doesn't need to be like the most perfect, pixel perfect visual design you've ever done, but make sure you don't have like typos or, gray boxes in there, because that can kind of throw off the results and the feedback that you might get in the test. So basically, keep it simple, do your best if you try to get as much as you can done. And more importantly, don't just zoom in on like one little area that you're trying to redesign and forget about everything else. Try to think about, what you can do in the next 10, 15 minutes to get something that looks complete and kind of fits in with the rest of the screens that we have here. Dennis, if you're ready, you can drop it in. You still got plenty of time though, so up to you. But yeah, go for it. So yeah, keep designing, everybody. Keep doing your thing. Let me know if you have questions. And we'll check in a few minutes, and I'll give you some time and some tips to work on it. Post your design, and we'll test it out. Nice. Good. Yeah, the other thing I'd say is, if you don't care about your design, I mean, there's not a lot of time I'm giving you. So if you just want to go slow and steady working on your design, don't really care about getting, picked as the one to test out here, that's totally fine too. Take it at your own pace. But, just try to be efficient and plan it out a little bit to think about how you could get to something that looks complete in, a reasonable amount of time. You guys are doing great. Everything looks good so far. Keep going. Let me know how I can help. Cool. I'm seeing who the speedy Figma designers are here. All right, so I'm going to give us 2 more minutes. So that'll be our final countdown there. We got 6.5 minutes. Keep working on your designs. If you're done with it, ready to rock and post it in the FigJam, you can just highlight it or grab it in Figma, copy, Command C or copy, and find your spot, and you can just drop it in. I'll take a screenshot and actually put it in the file to set up the test. But yeah, if you're ready to roll, put it in there. But you still got 6 good minutes of designing, so see if there's anything you want to tweak or change, and I'll keep scanning around and looking. We'll pick a few to vote on, and we'll end our class with a test, some results, and a quick wrap up before we get out of here. We've got about 3 minutes left, so keep going. When you got something finished or as close as you're going to get to finished, drop that in your FigJam file. I like what I'm seeing so far. Other thing I would say is if you want to look through the feedback on the last one, we covered I kind of summarized the 2 main themes from the feedback. There might be some stuff in here that is useful, or you might get an idea of something you could add on or design for in these next couple minutes that might, I don't know, improve it. So do what you got to do for the next couple minutes, and make sure you get, if you want to be, let's say nominated to be the one we test, make sure you got it in your FigJam file. I'm going to pick a few and we'll vote on one and test it out, see how we do. Nice. Good, everybody. Still got 2 minutes. That was my other timer. Sorry about that. I always feel bad, like Claudia, when I'm going out, highlighting someone typing, because I know how I get when I completely forget how to type or write on a whiteboard when people are watching. So I'm trying to zoom in and see what everyone's doing here, but not not put you on display as you're typing it out or moving things around, but looking good so far. So we got marks here. Nice. Let's see what Lee's got here. Nice. All right, we got 1 more minute, everybody. Posters in here. I'm going to do a quick scan and pick a few of these. Let's see. "30 seconds left, everybody." Okay, this is Florian's. No, I forgot who this one's was. Let's see. Okay, I'm trying to scan through all these to pick a couple. If your design is not picked in the 3 that I'm going to set up here to vote, do not take that as any kind of statement that your design isn't good. There's just a lot to go through here, and a lot of them look good. So I'm trying to pick a couple of ones. So give me 1 second here. Post yours in the Fig Jam, and let's see, whose is this? Hannah. Subjects does your child need help with? Specifying these. Nice. Cool. Okay, so I could still consider this one. You know what? Actually, Hannah, I love this design, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it all to one screen, although that would be a valid one to test out. Okay, let me get our top 3 here. Let's see. We got not top 3, but just the 3 that are catching my eye that I can copy and paste quickly. There's someone's up here I had that oh, Lee, I think I got yours. Subject change based on selected reading level. Okay, cool. Let's do yours, Lee. Oh, this looks interesting here. Let's see, personality and interest areas. Nice. All right, cool. Let's go with what we got here. So I think, Lee, this was yours. Is that correct? Yes. These are the same ones. Okay, cool. Check it out, everybody. So we have 3. Well, we got a lot of nice looking designs here, but I picked 3 that look finished. And like I said, this doesn't mean yours didn't make the cut if you didn't get picked here. But I wanted to pick a few different ones that we can take a look at and vote on, one to test out. So we have Dennis's here, which is 1. Lee, this is you, which is 2. And we have Florine, which is going to be 3. Okay, everybody, check it out. You can follow me. I'm down in the kind of lower left corner over here. Nice work, everybody, first of all, just to give everyone a shout out here. That was some quick designing. I want you to take a look at these 3 here. Yeah, everyone is really fast. I'm pretty slow on Figma. I got the few things that I'm really good at and fast at, and then a lot of the other stuff I get just smoked by a lot of students. So great job, everybody. Check out these 3 designs. We got 1, 2, and 3. Let's see. Diane said you can head to the polls tab. Let me find that polls tab. I'm new to this. Let's see. Chat moderators. Head to the polls tab next to chat. There we go. Okay, so it's in apps and polls. Mine's a little bit smaller. All right, so place your vote, everybody, in Livestorm. What design should we test? Option 1, 2, or 3. If you click on apps next to chat, there's a little one that says polls there, and you can vote. I'm going to just close my eyes and vote for one. All right, it looks like people are finding the vote tab. Place your vote. We'll give a 1 minute timer on voting. By the way, we might probably go a couple minutes over here as usual, but stick around. We'll do a quick wrap up and we'll look at some of the results that we get in from the testing. So hopefully you can stick around for an extra couple minutes. If not, we got the recording. All right, you got 40 seconds to place your vote. You got option 1 in the lead. And all you should really be voting on is which, based on the criteria, which one do you think has the best chance of outperforming the last one? We have no idea. That's why we're testing it. There might be a ton of great designs somewhere else that you guys did that could be even better, but we're going to pick one to start with. All right, place your vote. 10 seconds left, unless 2 or 3 make a epic comeback. I think we're going to be testing 1. All right. The polls are in. The results are in. We got 57%, pretty even actually. But we're going to test Dennis, your design here, number 1. Let me copy this, and I'm going to set up our test. All right, so first thing I'm going to do here is get rid of this poll, so it's not distracting me anymore. Let's put this right here. Dennis, I'm going to drop your screen right in this. Resize it a little bit. There we go. And again, just to keep the test like exactly the same as the last one, I did the orange backgrounds, got everything sized up, really just replacing our variable over here, this screen. All right, so let me export this guy real quick. What is that? 2x, export frame 4. All right, save that. Cool. So take a look at my screen, everybody. We're going to go into Lyssna land over here. Let me go to this. Okay, cool. So we are going to, what I did here is I duplicated this last test, the one that we've been looking at. Now, there are some ways to do this with variants on the test. I'm sure, I think we have some guides in the resource guide from our Lyssna friends on some specifics and basically other ways that you could organize this. But just to keep it really, really simple right now, I duplicated the last study, the one that we've been looking at with the 19 bits of feedback in there, and created the exact same one right above it. It still has the old image in here, but it's got the same questions, the same scale, and the same long text question at the end here. So everything equal. We're going to run that exact same survey that we've been looking at, but we are going to swap out the image here. So let me actually, I might have to let's do build. Okay, so there are a variety of tests that you can do in Lyssna. 5-second tests, preference tests. We have tree testing and card sorting. I know is new. The newest one, Lyssna team, is screener surveys, which is a great one as well. So I'm happy to answer some questions and show some guides on like all the other stuff that you can do in Lyssna for basically like quick, effective tests. But the setup process is going to be pretty similar for all of them. So right now I have this already created, but I'm building our test and we're calling it the study session onboarding test 2. I'll call it just so we know. We have a welcome screen here. Thanks for participating. Study Sesh is an app to help parents find the perfect private tutor. We'll show you some onboarding screens that parents would see when using Study Sesh for the first time and ask for your feedback. So you have a nice welcome screen there to kind of give the participants some context about what they're going to be seeing before they get into the actual design survey that we're looking at here. Okay, this design survey has the old image in it. So Dennis, congratulations. You're in the big leagues now. We got your design uploaded here. Our follow-up questions, we have a linear scale question. that you can experiment with some of the different modules you can use here. But again, we're keeping it exactly the same. We're going to make these required, no pressure, really no pressure, and then a long text question at the end. So same exact survey here. Let's hit save and continue. And now it's time to get some people to see this, to test it with. So there are 2 ways to do this on Lyssna, and both are, I'd say, equally useful depending on what you're trying to do. First one is recruiting from our panel. Lyssna has over 500,000 panelists who are sitting at their laptops now just itching to rate our onboarding experience. So we're going to do that. We're going to recruit from testers that are already out there. By the way, as a side note, really good exercise if you're curious about this is to sign up as a panelist or a tester to see some of the designs and kind of see what people are testing out. We're going to recruit from Lyssna's panelists, but another really effective way is you can recruit with your own Lyssna link. So you can get just a link to this study. You can share it with Slack groups, people, whoever you want to get feedback from, and kind of do that manually. Recruiting from the panel, good for speed, good for the results we want to get in right now. Recruiting with a Lyssna link, you can get a little bit more, you can get targeted with the panel too, but you can be a little bit more focused on exactly who you're sending that out to. We're going to go for just speed on this one to get some results in. So I'm going to start with 25 participants here. The demographics, I'm just going to leave, and I could run a follow-up after the workshop and send it with the recording. But there are some options here: country, age, gender, living arrangements. Let's go children and dependents. Any. That's good. And I'm going to leave that exactly as it is. So lots of great criteria here. I'm mainly leaving this off just so we can get a fast and larger panel of participants to see this come in. But we got our test all set up here. So let's submit this, and that's it. Our order has been placed. We should start to see some results rolling in. All right, so let me share this link in the chat. It was easy as that. We got our test up and running. There are listeners all over the world checking it out right now, and we're going to probably see some results coming in soon. So I'm going to put this link in the chat. This is to the updated results. You can actually share these, see them, and refresh that. Someone let me know, and I'm going to switch off this for a second, but someone let me know in the chat once you see our first response come in. We'll let a few come in first, so we don't jump the gun on our rating. But yes, so let me in terms of the Lyssna plans, Ben, Diane, I don't know if you want to. I can explain those, but if you have any resources on the plans and some of the things that you can do with each of them, and want to share that, I think we have some of that in the resource guide. But definitely sharing the link, even though you can't get like the fast results from the panel, is super effective. I actually use that more often than the Lyssna panel. The other thing I'll say is the Lyssna panel is extremely affordable compared to other testing that you can do and recruiting participants. If you're paying out of pocket on your own project and testing it, then I could see the cost being a factor. But for client projects that I've worked on, it has been like by far, something I'm billing to the client that is way more cost effective than a lot of the other options out there. Not just because of the actual price, but because of the time and the short amount of time it takes to actually get those results in. Okay, so let me jump over to a quick wrap up and some next steps here, and then we'll end with checking out the results as they're rolling in. All right, so we did a lot here tonight. We packed a lot into 2 hours. Great job, everybody. Like, this was really fun, and just participation, energy, fast designing that you just did was great. And while I'm sure many of you were probably familiar with some of the stuff we covered here tonight, hopefully We introduce some new things or maybe some new ways of thinking about UX research and specifically split testing. So I like to end every workshop with some key takeaways and next steps. We got like 100 slides in this slideshow. I like to give my top 3 things. If you don't take anything else away from this workshop, hopefully you'll take one of these key points away to bring into your own day-to-day work. First one was a point that I mentioned right at the top of class. You don't need to choose between no research and the endless, expensive, time-consuming journey of discovery. This is why I love Lyssna as a tool. And honestly, this is why I think I've been successful in a lot of the projects that I've worked on as a freelance designer and researcher, because I'm always looking for tools like this, new methods that are more efficient and don't force you to make that trade-off between, again, the endless journey or just doing no research and kind of winging it. So in terms of actually creating a better product, this is an important thing to remember. And also in terms of getting buy-in on research, this is an easy way to pitch this to your product manager, whoever you have to, your client, whoever you have to go to with it, to show that, hey, look, we can spend, not an enormous amount of time or money and really make some actionable changes. So think of research. I hope you got in that mindset a little bit tonight, but think of that resourcefulness and creativity, I think, when it comes to figuring out the best and most efficient way to get answers to those questions. Second key takeaway, stay focused on research initiatives that get to the heart of the problem. Basically, test the stuff out that will actually move the needle for your product, that will actually make a difference, a notable improvement in the user experience or your business goals. This is also why I like not just Lyssna, but specific tests like this that allow you to pinpoint some certain functionality or questions that you want to ask. One of the biggest challenge or mistakes I see from junior designers and researchers is not having a clear goal with their research, or having a goal that's doesn't really have an impact on the end product. This is why a lot of clients, founders, product managers kind of get scared of research, because it's like, yeah, you're going to go spend all this time, but what is it actually going to do to improve our product? So stay focused on the research initiatives that are going to help really make the biggest impact. And paired with the last point, think about how to get creative and resourceful with testing them. My last point here, get creative with the studies that you're creating. There are a lot of research methodologies out there and formats or processes to run a study that are established and kind of things you can follow step by step. But a lot of the most effective research that I've done haven't been, cookie cutter or standardized research methods that you might have as a unit, let's say in your UX bootcamp. Getting creative with your studies. You don't need to always go by the book with how a card sort is done or how a preference test or an A/B test is done. And I think tonight would be a good example. It's breaking some rules, or maybe not the exact format we would set up for a true split test with equal traffic to both options, but it's effective, right? We're able to get that feedback and we're able to focus our study on the things that we really want to know. So especially for more junior people here, designers, researchers, learn the fundamentals and methodologies, learn the ones that you can do in Lyssna, but don't be afraid to break out of those if it's going to help you get better answers to your question more effectively. Last thing, so those are my 3 big takeaways. I shared in your Figma file, I shared this little template over here to the right. If you had a big takeaway from this workshop, you can jot it in here. I made this little graphic template that you can share on LinkedIn. You can show that you were here tonight, you did some good work, and also what your key takeaway was. So if you enjoyed this workshop and want to give us Bitesize UX and Lyssna a shout on LinkedIn, you can do that without the template too, but this is a little bit more fun and show some of the work that you produced here. All right, let's look at our results and then we'll get to our wrap up. Let me go back to this link We'll just be a couple more minutes, everybody, and then let you get out of here. Where is the link? Here we go. All right, let's drop it in here. All right, so we have 2 responses shown. All right, Dennis. Yeah, everyone, let's do, is there a clap emoji in this thing? Oh, we got the party popper here. Let's show Dennis some love. I know we're not done yet. The survey is now finished, but an 8.5 is looking pretty good. And I think more importantly, we can see some of the responses here. Now, there are going to be some that come in that are not, let's say, the most useful or most actionable for improving this design even further. But we will see some good ones come in, and we can already see here that that confidence rating, we almost doubled up on it in our first couple responses. So I'll let this run a little bit more, and I'll post the link so you guys can check it out after the workshop. But so far, so good. Team and Dennis, your design, awesome work. All right, quick wrap up. First thing is, I hope you enjoyed this workshop. If you did, give me a thumbs up or whatever. Any of these emojis work. Not the crying one, but like the scream. But I hope you guys had a good time here tonight. I hope it was a good use of, 2 hours. You could have been doing a whole lot of other stuff that you're sitting on a webinar with me here, learning and designing. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope time went by quickly. More importantly, the question I ask at the end of every workshop, yes, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun. But I hope that you feel more prepared to tackle UX research challenges than you were a few hours ago. Let me know in the chat if you feel more prepared, more confident than you were before this workshop. That is really my goal with this class and every other class that I teach. There's always a lot to learn. There are still, tons of practice, especially if this was your first kind of introduction to some of the stuff we did here. But like I said right at the top of class, I like to, the concepts, the theory is important, but really what I want everyone to leave with is some confidence that, hey, I see what this looks like. I know kind of what these scenarios are going to look like on the job, what I'm going to be expected to do. And, maybe I might not be a master at it yet, but I have that confidence to keep practicing and that confidence to keep building my skills and maybe a little bit more clarity on what it actually looks like day to day. So I hope that you're feeling not just more educated, but more prepared, more confident about your UX research skills than you were a couple hours ago. All right. If you enjoyed this workshop, first thing I want to say is we'll be sending out the recording and a feedback survey after this. So keep an eye out in your emails. We'll be sending all the resources, the recording. I'll update and add to some of those links. Please leave feedback, though, on this workshop. Either way, if you enjoyed it, if you have constructive criticism, ways we could improve it. I had a lot of fun doing this. I would love to do more workshops together with the good people at Lyssna. So let me know what you think, and maybe we'll get some more going in the future. If you enjoyed this workshop also, and if you want to really go deeper in some of the stuff that we did here tonight, level up your UX research skills, your portfolio, career, check out our upcoming class. I will put the link in the chat here one last time. UX Research in Action, this is a 2-week course that starts on Monday. We still got plenty of spots open for this one. And it's going to be great. This class is all about resourceful research, limited time, limited budget, a lot of stuff that we did here tonight, but expanding that into a much larger project, hitting on a bunch of other research methodologies. And I would say all the info is here on the page, but the best way I could describe this is this class is meant to prepare you to do effective research on the job in a way that is going to get noticed by product managers, hiring managers, other designers, really being able to go beyond just kind of the basic discovery journey that you learn maybe in a boot camp and really get into how do I do research that is going to have an impact on the product, that is going to create a better user experience, and that I can do, even if I don't have unlimited time, budget, and resources to do it. So check it out. If you have questions, you can apply and put your questions in the application. I respond to everyone's application with answers to any questions you have about the class. So if you're on the fence about it, put an application in, and I'll get you answers and basically make sure that I will help you make sure that this is the right class for you based on where you're at in your career, your skills, and more importantly, your goals and what you're looking to achieve. Main thing, if you liked what we did here tonight, I'm positive you will love this class and you'll love Cola, who's my co-instructor in this class. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out a little late with me. That link is in the chat. We'll be sending all this stuff out shortly after the workshop. But again, thank you so much. Truly appreciate you taking the time to be here. Really, really good work. Let's do one more checkup on how Dennis is doing here. How our team's doing. Oh, yes. All right, we dropped a little bit. We're still 2 points ahead. No problem. I'll send that out tomorrow, but keep an eye out for the email with the recording. Please do that feedback survey if you get the chance. Other than that, have a great night. Thank you all. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Ben. Hopefully, I'll see you guys in class next week or see you on another workshop soon. All right, see you, everybody.